Shannon, what happened on Saturday night?
Hey, Skip. Oh,
go, it's your turn. If you don't want to go, I'll go. Let me go.
No, you don't need to go. You don't need to talk for the next 15 minutes.
Well, once I start, I'm not going to stop.
What happened was the Rams offense and defensive line, they dominated. There's something to be said about a team running the ball 40-plus times, because when a team runs the ball that many times, obviously they see something on tape, and they've seen something over the course of the season. Because once you get to the playoffs, Jenny, they don't just break down in the regular season. They break down four-game chunks.
Okay.
In the postseason, they break down all 16 games and your playoff games. So clearly, Sean McVay and that offensive staff, they saw something that they could take advantage of. And for this team, known for their theatrics of throwing the football all over the field, Goff once had a game where he threw for 5 touchdowns over 400 yards, and that's what they were really known for. They had gotten somewhat away from running the football. But they saw something. Even though the picture-perfect performance they had last week against Seattle, who was the #1 running team, Sean McVay said, I will not be deterred. Skip, you won't understand this, but there are a lot of people out there in my community that will understand this. The Cowboys were on program. So when you have a program, Jenny, you know, you have someone to do the prayer, you have someone to do the welcome, have someone to pray, but you need someone to do the benediction. And the benediction is given at the end. It's letting everybody know church is over. It's time to go home. Them benediction boys, 30, and C.J. Anderson, 35, Skip Bayless, that was a shame what they did to you guys. At the end of the first quarter and midway through the second quarter, they shut him down. Vander Esch did not want any more C.J. Anderson. What, Jalen Smith?
What are you talking about?
Whoa, let me finish.
He didn't want any more? Did he wave out of the game? Stop it! They took him out of the game for no apparent reason. Go ahead. Go ahead. He didn't want any more. How do you know he didn't want it? He wants all of the above. Please.
He want that smoke?
Yeah.
So in other words, what happened before I was so rudely interrupted?
Lord have mercy.
Before I was rudely interrupted, Skip, that was totally unnecessary.
Yes.
C.J. Anderson, he came in, he got it started.
Yeah, long-time Ram, C.J. Anderson.
Skip.
Right?
You want to go?
Yeah.
Do you want to go? Go ahead, Skip.
Good draft choice by the Los Angeles Rams.
Go ahead, you go.
Anyway, go ahead.
No,
I want to hear. I want to hear from the Hall of Famer.
All you've done is interrupt me so many times. So go ahead. No, I'm done. I'm done. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll go after you. Go ahead.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Okay, I'll go. So, first of all, I would like to congratulate the 2018 Dallas Cowboys on not just a good season, but a very good season. And I would like to congratulate them on one playoff win that should have been 2 playoff wins. But in the end, my quarterback, Dak Prescott, his extraordinary playmaking, his warrior spirit, his refuse to lose could not quite overcome Jason Garrett and his clear deficiencies as a head coach and the blunders he made twice in the fourth quarter, the second of which involved Leighton Vander Esch. And I'll get to that in just a moment. But the point here is, did I hear one analyst all week long last week predict that the Rams were going to run wild on the Cowboys? Because all I heard was that the Cowboys possibly could run wild on the Rams. Am I right about that?
No, that's what you said, because they gave up 5.1 a carry, and that's what Zeke averaged. You said that.
Okay, no, that's what the stat said, because 5.1 was the league worst yards per rush that they had given up. I didn't hear anybody. I did not hear the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson. Nobody predicted that the Rams would run wild on my team, because you'd be a fool to predict that, because you had just seen what had happened in the previous Saturday night's playoff game. They held the #1 rush attack from Seattle to 73 total yards, 22 in the first half. And you saw what happened on that fateful Thursday night at the end of November at Jerry World when New Orleans was riding high, and they visited with one of the top rushing attacks. And what happened that night to Kamara and Ingram? What happened?
Shut them down.
65 total yards happened. So don't tell me that my team doesn't have the talent to stop the run. My team just wasn't ready to stop the run.
Why
because
not?
You know and I know stopping the run has a lot to do. It's like playing defense in the NBA or rebounding in the NBA. It's a lot to do with your heart, with your desire, with whatever your want to is on that night against that opponent, right?
Yes.
And for some reason, none of my coaches were able to light a big enough fire under my defense because it just came out flat. And I've told you all year long, I trust my offense more than my defense because my defense can lay eggs. What did my defense do 2 years ago in the playoff game against Aaron Rodgers early on? What happened? 21-3 happened because they weren't ready to play, right?
But you told me the team, because Jason Garrett is not a motivator, they don't need him to motivate them.
I thought
they motivate
maybe
themselves.
they wanted to get even with the Rams for what the Rams did to them in the second half last year when Todd Gurley ran wild. And I'm here to submit to you, if the Rams don't sign C.J. Anderson on December the 18th, they do not win that game on Saturday night. He was the difference, his power blasts up the middle. He looks like he's gained 15 or 20 pounds from what he had in Denver. And it's good weight. It's like fullback weight.
I don't know if it's good weight, but if he's gained weight.
He's gained weight. But he was just like a bowling ball knocking over unmotivated pins. Am I right?
He might be a shorter Mike Tolbert.
Do I? But he goes for 123 on 23 bursts up the middle, and it changed the whole game. I didn't see it coming, but I should have seen it coming because he had some big games. Remember, he had
172 against Arizona.
Had 100. I thought he had 167, right?
Yeah, it might have been 167, but he's way up there, and he had
123 against the Rams. So he was doing this.
No, against 49ers.
I meant the 49ers, against the 49ers. Yeah. But my point is, I should have seen it coming. Somebody should have seen it. I don't know if the Cowboy coaches saw it coming, but he was just all over them all night long. And again, I don't think Todd Gurley could have gone for 273 by himself.
No.
He hasn't played in a month.
Right.
So on stamina alone, he just would have run out of gas. And let alone, I don't think his knee's 1,000% right. Okay.
It's not.
All right. So now, yet and still, all that, 273 yards rushing, Dak still could have kept them much closer. I'm going to go through the first half without two horrendous calls from the referees. And the first one happens. They're only down 13-7. It's 4:13 left in the first half. And they back up the Rams to 3rd and 14. Now, who is in on that drive? All of a sudden, they have put Sean Lee in place of Van Der Esch. What are you doing?
Oh, you don't like Sean Lee anymore?
Well, I used to love him, but he hasn't played football for a year and a half. And he's got a dicey hamstring at best. And all of a sudden, you get to the pivotal game of the year. You put yourself, like that kid, those two kids in the middle, Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch, got them here. You've got chemistry, you've got flow, you've got rhythm on defense. And all of a sudden, on a crucial series, you're down only 13-7. You yank Van Der Esch for what reason? Do you think he's too light in the behind to stop the run?
But Skip, remember now, he's been under the weather this past week. He was on antibiotics, so maybe they thought his stamina.
I'm not buying it. I'm
just saying what this is.
I'm sorry. I'm just not buying it. So we get to 3rd and 14, and Jared Goff gets pressured by DeMarcus Lawrence, and he fires it low to Everett. And Dak is going to get the ball back with 4 minutes left in the first half, down only 13-7. And what gets called? Hands to the face by Byron Jones. I got to tell you, press corners up in press coverage, I see this 4 or 5 times every game I watch where they get their hands in high.
Right.
And they flag that, it's ticky-tack.
No.
It's chicken you know what.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did he put his hands to the face?
I guess so, but it doesn't get called all the time.
Do, Skip.
You know, it's an anti-Jerry Jones call because every chance they get, they're going to stick it to Jerry Jones. And then this is my favorite. This is the last one. This is 52 seconds left in the half, and Dak has driven them all the way down to 3rd and 7 at the Ram 36. You've got a chance to score at least 3 because you're already in field goal range. Dak drops back on 3rd and 7, and he escapes the pocket to his right. What happens when he escapes to his right? Good things usually happen because he either runs for the first down or he flings it for a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
And what happened? The whistle blows, and I'm thinking, why?
Because Lyle Collins, you know what happened.
Lyle Collins, they just called a sack on a guy who plays for Dak's team. What are you doing?
No.
You can't do that. That's just such poor officiating. Lyle Collins throws Dak free of the pocket. That's legal the last time I checked. I don't know. And they blow in the grass. in the grass?
In the grass.
He's free. He's escaped to the right. Trust me, good things are going to happen. And it's -7, and it takes them, because it's 4th and 14, takes them out of field goal range. That's -3 right there, and I think it well could have been -7, because when he escapes, not good things, but great things happen. So now now you're down 20-7 at halftime. Yet and still.
Why are you down again? I'm trying to figure out. I still can't understand why you're down.
Yeah, well, because the Rams are running wild on the defense.
What is your offense doing?
It doesn't have the football. It's being dominated in time of possession. What was the final time of possession in the game? 36 minutes to 24 minutes.
If you don't mind me asking, your first three possessions, what did you do, Skip?
First three, I don't know.
Out.
Okay, well, it's a close game. What are the Rams doing? They're just running wild.
I'm not talking about the Rams. I'm talking about your offense
but
led by
here's
Dak.
the point. Despite all those 273 yards, despite having next to none of Cole Beasley, he got in for a couple snaps and caught one ball. Despite not having Allen Hurns, Blake Jarwin was hurt and caught one ball, so he was pretty useless also. Dak still battled back. Dak still got them in position to be in the football game. It's 23-15. Am I right about that?
Yes.
23-15, and he has gone boom, 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 all the way down to the Rams 35. And he made a nice completion on 3rd and long to Noah Brown. Now it's a half-yard short, so it's 4th and a half, and we're going to the 4th quarter, and they're only down 8 points. So don't tell me this was a blowout, and it's 4th and a half, and the Dallas coaching staff has the whole quarter break to make a choice on the play, right?
Yes.
That's unusual, because usually the clock is running, and you got to do it like that. And what do they choose to do? They choose to run Ezekiel Elliott, who has gone nowhere for much of the game. They choose to run Zeke straight up the gut behind the backup center and the rookie guard and the former Pro Bowl right guard who needs knee surgery. You're kidding me. Against the two biggest anchors in all of pro football.
Ndamukong Suh said, nope.
Yeah, well, how about Aaron Donald? Both of them are just, are there two bigger pillars in the middle of anybody's defensive line than those two? And the play gets so blown up, the center Looney gets so knocked off the ball that basically the center tackles Zeke 2 yards deep because he hits him right in the face. It's just complete blown up play. It's so stupid. It's so pathetically predictable that if I had the power, I would have marched right down and fired Jason Garrett on the spot.
Man, stop trying to fire everybody every time.
You can't call that play. Do you realize what a playmaker number 4 is, my quarterback? Can you not run the read option? Can you not let him fake it? Can you not let him bootleg it? Can you not let him do something? Because what happened later in the game when he started running with the football? Great things started happening, and he still got you back in the game. So he still kept firing. He still kept scoring. It's still an 8-point game. It's 30-22. And finally, the defense backs up the Rams to 3rd and 7 at their 28-yard line. And who goes back in the game? Sean Lee goes back in the game. This is the play of the night. This is 2 minutes left in the game. Dak Prescott is going to get the ball back, and he's another guy who's becoming Brady-like that I don't bet against when he gets the ball in his hands late in the game.
I do.
Well, you would have been sweating, man. You would have had to change shirts. You would have
I
sweated
always
so much.
bet against him when Zeke can't rush for 100 yards.
Well, he had him right in position, and I know they'd need 8 points, but you just saw him score 8 points and hit a 2-point conversion, and he'd thrown for 266 yards already and barely had the football. And what happens on this play? They decide, Sean McVay calls a rollout, a fake it to CJ, and Jared Goff's under center for this play, so it's not even a shotgun play, and he bootlegs him out, and what does Sean Lee do? He's got Higbee on a little down and out move, and at some point, if you're that guy, if you're a playmaker, you have to see that Jared Goff, who's a non-running quarterback, he doesn't have a lot of leg speed. He doesn't have a lot of quickness. He has gone a full circle rollout, and once he gets near the line of scrimmage, he didn't even fake a pass. You could see he was tucking and running.
Sure.
And Sean Lee has to get off Higbee and make that play because he needs 7 yards. He got 11 because Sean Lee gets trapped behind Higbee.
That's not his play.
This back up. Make the tackle.
That's not his play.
Huh?
That's not his play.
You got to make that play. If you're that guy,
No,
if you're what you used to be, you make that play. And you know what? Van Der Esch, I believe, would have made the play on blissful ignorance. He would have made it.